It's really nice to be able to celebrate and think more deeply about the transitions that are happening, and it's a really nice place to do it.
In Maiden Spirit, the curriculum is designed to really encourage girls, first of all, to be in right relationship with themselves and with others. We share agreements so that our time together is understood to be very sacred. And when anyone is sharing something about how they really feel, who they really are, that they're deeply listened to, respectfully and without judgment. So creating a safe and sacred place for girls to feel free to be able to be themselves with each other, in comparison to some of the ways that they're experiencing relationship on the schoolyard, for example. Another very important skill development that is encouraged in Maiden Spirit is that process of inner dialogue, of being able to go inside and ask these questions: who am I? Where am I? Why am I here? And what am I to do? And continuing to go inside to ask those questions over and over again to discover the deeper and deeper truths of oneself, as well as to be able to access that inner knowing for making choices in the world. Another very important component of Maiden Spirit, since it is a girls' program, is to encourage the development of healthy self-body esteem. Understanding the female body is beautiful and sacred. The female fertility cycle is beautiful and sacred. That it's really great to be a human being in a female body. And so body-centered esteem is another very foundational teaching in this program.
Standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Come down the rain, come down the sun, come down the fruit to a heart that is open to be standing like a tree.
Reflecting upon the genesis of my motivation, my sense of calling for the work that I've been involved in, I reflect upon my experience as a youth, as a young girl, being imprinted and impressed by all of these messages coming in from the media, from movies, from television, from advertising everywhere I turned, and also from the girls themselves about how I should look, how I should be, how much I should weigh, what I should be doing. All of these ideas about the sense of self that weren't really organic or natural for me. I began to really experience that I was not good enough. And I didn't fit into this beauty standard. And this caused an ongoing sense of sadness and eventually depression during my teen years. As I began to evolve through my teens and entered into my young adult years through a process of introspection, of being able to look in and think critically about why I was having those feelings and why I was experiencing that depression, through meditation and through contemplation, through journal writing, through a variety of different tools, I began to explore what the truth was about myself. I began to open up to the possibility that my unique beauty is absolutely whole and complete and wonderful, and that actually I'm really okay. And I accessed that through connecting to what I call a wisdom source within myself. And in Maiden Spirit, we call that the wise woman within. And so learning that process of referencing our own value, our own esteem for ourselves, our own sense of what is true for us, our true beauty from internal sources, originated from a youth where I felt very much less than because of all of the messages coming in from the outside. On one of my wonderful adventures to the tropics, I was camping on an ancient village site on Maui, and that night I had the most incredible vision. And the way the vision began I was a young girl, and I was with a boy a little bit older than myself. We entered into the earth, into a cave, and we're exploring the cave, and suddenly that situation with that young man began to feel very uncomfortable and unsafe. And I became very afraid. And in my fear and my panic of uncertainty about what might happen, I was able to get away and run back out and find a place to hide behind a banyan tree, crouched down low. And the boy disappeared. And I remained there shaking and feeling very frightened, not sure what was going to happen next. Suddenly, I heard the sound of tinkling bells, thousands of bells tinkling all around the opening of the cave. And then light started emanating from the entrance of the cave. And of course, I was completely entranced. From the light emerged a very large woman, tall, magnificent, radiant, goddess-like figure. And she beckoned to me, and she just kind of called me in. And so I naturally just felt so safe and amazed by her presence and the magic of what was happening, that without hesitation I followed her back down into that same cave, down and down and down into the earth. Eventually we came into an open cavern that was lit by little tinkling lights and crystals, and it was a very magical and wondrous space. And this amazing being stood quite a bit above me, looking down, and she said to me that that is not the way it should be. And I understood that she was referring to the experience that I was having with that boy of not feeling safe and honored as a female. And then the goddess, this goddess figure, gave me the experience of a rite of passage for that girl child into her sacred womanhood. And this was a very amazing experience for me. I felt completely wonderful about being myself. I felt good about having a female body. I had the most immense sense of self-peace and self-esteem. And when the ritual or the ceremony was complete, this goddess instructed me to go out and find my girlfriends and bring them back to her. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And this really is the essence of the work that I've been involved in with Maiden Spirit and with all the women and girls in my life. And in fact, to include the feminine principle in all human beings, encouraging that to arise and become more balanced on the planet. Embedded into the Maiden Spirit curriculum is a conscious and gradual preparation for a girl's coming of age at first moon or menarche, first menstruation. This is a really wonderful opportunity for families and the girl-affirming community that surrounds this daughter to impress upon her the value and the beauty of being who she is, and also for being a female and having a female body.
The butterfly represents a really major transition that occurs in its lifetime, just like every girl and woman. And after the transition, it experiences this new ability to fly, and it's a beautiful creature. So I think it's a great symbol for women and girls, and any major transition of any human being.
Within a first moon rite of passage, if it's possible to do so, we highly encourage mothers and, if possible, aunties and grandmothers to participate. Welcome, Emma, to the circle.
Thank you.
There's a very important transition that's happening between the mother and the daughter, or the care provider and the daughter, that we find can ease the transition with this kind of ceremony included. So there's a change from being completely dependent to gradually becoming independent, from child becoming young adult. And there's an opportunity within that ceremony for the mother and the daughter to symbolize that change, often simply by changing their position with each other in the circle. So the mother and daughter would begin in one position, and then later the daughter would walk around to the other side of the circle and take her place, facing her mother directly, symbolizing the beginning of a new way of relating to each other. Another wonderful ceremonial aspect of a rite of passage for a girl can be the co-creation of a beautiful floral wreath made by all of the women and girls gathered. This floral wreath is then presented to the girl at some point in the ceremony. It can represent many things. First of all, just the royalty of her coming into her true self, blossoming into the more fullness, the maturing from girl to woman. It can also represent the opening to the heavens, to being able to open up to that part of her that is not limited by her physical self. So a connection between heaven and earth as symbolized by this beautiful crown or floral wreath. During the ceremony or celebration, sometimes called the period party, it's very nice to have everyone who participates to bring a gift to give to that girl, a symbolic gift that represents wisdom of some kind that each woman or girl is wanting to impress upon this young woman during a very vulnerable and open time in her life. So these gifts are often representations of something that has meaning that she can later refer back to help her stay in touch with those pearls of wisdom that have been given to her by her community of those who love her so much and want to see her become the empowered and amazing woman that she's meant to be.
I felt inspired to write about the experience of my first moon rite of passage in this beautiful journal, a gift for my moon party celebration from Aunt Tracy. When I started my period, I knew what I was experiencing and recognized it as a natural, positive thing, a blessing. This knowledge came from the wisdom and support my mom has always provided me. A first moon celebration followed at Georgette's home with friends and family. The ceremonies that took place were all symbolic of the transformation that occurs in every woman's life, yet is so sacred. The significance of a celebration of a girl's first moon is great. I feel so fortunate for the positivity and support around my first moon, and I know that not all girls are blessed with that. Not all girls realize that their first moon is a both sacred and positive experience, and sometimes a negative atmosphere surrounds them when they do experience their first moon. Our periods can remind us that we are creative beings, that our bodies are capable of creating life, and that our minds are capable of creating our dreams. Our moon cycle can serve to remind us of that we are part of creation and intimately connected with heaven and earth. So next time you look up and see the moon, think about that.
And I would say that it really is about learning about the self in the community of young girls, of coming of age, of women, of humanity that is kind of closely kept secret, or somehow that there isn't talked about as part of the norm. And so that's one reason I would really encourage. And I remember years ago reading a book called Circle of Stones, and there was a question in there that said, how different would your life be if when you started your period, your father had celebrated with you? And it happened that we were at the dinner table when Julie started her period, and Stan celebrated with us. And I'm like, her life is never going to be the same because her father celebrated that with her and with us. And so if there's no other reason than to do this program, then that is like, that changes generations. And it allows allows other young girls to really step in their womanhood like it's an honored thing in our culture. And you don't see that very often.
Well, how do you feel about your daughter participating in Maiden Spirit?
Well, I feel very good about it in that it's what she wants to do. And when she brings home the excitement and the balance and just the joy of what she's been doing for that last session, it makes me feel very good, because I see that as a father of a daughter, and growing up in today's world and everything, for her to be able to feel confident and to understand herself and her nature and who she is, I think makes me feel good as a dad. I would recommend for dads, for their daughters, is what I see in Maiden Spirit is the opportunity for them as they grow to get the first impression of who they are from themselves, rather than the first impression of who they are from somebody else. And that way, as they go through the world, they'll have that foundation to be able to meet the challenges that they will face, and with confidence and compassion.
For one thing, when they're younger and they're 9 and 10, the relationship is much easier between the parent and the mom and the child. But when they start getting to the age where they have their first moon and they're turning teenagers, then I feel like it's really important that they have a mentor outside of the mom and daughter relationship, that they have somebody that they can trust, that they can talk with, that they can open up to, and also be open to hearing the things that they're not willing to hear from their parent, because that's part of what happens. And so I think that for Maiden Spirit, you have kids of like age, which is great, and then you have mentors, which is awesome. And then you have all these things that are brought into them with the meditation and the learning, doing the arts and just singing and I hear you laughing all the time. I love it. I mean, I love to hear the laughter when I'm sitting in the other room and just knowing that these kids are having so much fun, and you are too. So it's. I think for that it's just a gift to the kids.
We are the sun and moon, we are the earth and sky.